So it's a little late night right now. I'm kind of tired, but ladies and gentlemen, I figured before I should sleep, I want to get a little rant out of the way, something that's been stuck in the system for quite a long time. Now, this video, I've sort of covered before the idea of open world games, the versus the whole linearity shit. But today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to talk about fucking open world for you, okay? You ever play a game where you play as a fucking bank robber? But as you're doing your single player storyline, your in-game wife tells you to pick up your kids, and if you don't, you're gonna go on the in-game reward of sleeping on the fucking couch and losing 30 strength the next day. You ever play a game where the single player is assaulted by this metered open world bullshit? I mean, what in the flying fuck, ladies and gentlemen? This stuff has been inching at me as the days go by. Now, as you know, my backlog of games is building by the day. I play games, and frankly, other games come out, and I just get sucked up into certain games over other games. For example, when Persona 5 had hit, I immediately forgot about a lot of other games that came out that year because Persona 5 is a game that takes 80 million hours to complete, all of them worthwhile, mind you, and I sort of forgot about a bunch of other games where they took the back burner. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as I go back and play some of these older games that I missed out on, I think the one thing that pisses me off the most is in purely single-player experiences when a developer feels they have to fucking jam an open-world system into their game, one where it basically becomes a fucking heavy life simulator, which again is kind of ironic because that's what Persona 5 was, but to an extent, at least it did it well. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about the open world games that just put open world stuff into it for the sake of calling itself an open world title. Now, one of the games that I really like, which isn't such an egregious example, is Horizon Zero Dawn. It's a game that I like. I love the storyline for it, but I often find that when you get to the later game of it, the main missions take parts on different corners of the fucking map. So let's say you're on point A, you complete the mission, ooh, you really want to do the second part of the story. Well, you better fucking find a strider, hop onto it, and venture across the entire fucking map, which, by the way, the map is huge, and get to the other story segment of the game. But make sure when you do the other story segment of the game, you're the appropriate level. If you're not, well, abuse the side missions to your heart's content. And that's the other thing that I want to get at, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of these MMOs seemed... MMOs, I'm getting a little further ahead of myself. A lot of these single-player games are introducing MMO-like things to their open-world environments that are, frankly, so so awful to the entire concept of their game in particular that is sort of shutting me away from playing them entirely. Now, let me pitch you a game idea, okay? Resident Evil 8 goes open world. You gotta survive in, Carcer City, alright? I know I took that from Manhunt. Survive in Carcer City. You're playing as Leah S. Kennedy, the long-lost sister to Leon. You gotta uncover a grand conspiracy, scavenge for weapons, run away from chasing zombies and lickers, maybe drive a car or two to get around this town. It sounds like a pretty cool concept, right? You getting a little half-chub, getting nipples getting a little hard, I see. Now, what if I told you, let's put a crafting system into it? God, oh fuck, how could you get over the fucking crafting system every open world game has to have? Find the 4 same components, craft over and over and over again until you get some experience points and develop your fucking weapons and shit. God forbid we talk about the crafting system. Oh god, what? How can you call yourself an open world game without fucking Minecraft elements? Of course, right? How's that even happening? Or let's put in a life simulator. That thing I told you about, the wife and the kid and the meters building up? Let's put hunger, thirst, dehydration, emotional state, sexual attraction, all your relationship building into the game as well. You know what that's called? That's called life, motherfucker. You ever play a game where you're playing as a fucking bank robber and shit, but you gotta focus about your goddamn in real life relationships, how much you eat, drink, watch your caloric intake and shit? I mean, that's not fun, okay? The fun is robbing banks. The fun is doing things that I'm not really supposed to do in real life, or else I'll get sent to prison. Not stuff that I do already. Like, who the fuck is taking showers and washing themselves and making sure they don't have herpes, getting themselves tested every 5 days in a video game, calls that shit fun? I don't understand. I mean, yeah, if you're playing a simulator-esque game, it makes sense, but every goddamn open world game seems to push that shit onto you. If I told you I'm gonna add all those features to Resident Evil 8 open world as well, would you still be excited? I guarantee that you probably fucking wouldn't. I wouldn't be excited, and I don't think anybody else would either. That shit sounds lame, but it seems every developer goes out of their way to put that shit into their video game. One of the worst examples of this, I swear to God, is Mirror's Edge Catalyst. Look, I like Mirror's Edge, and I like Mirror's Edge Catalyst. I know these games haven't been reviewed well, and I know they certainly aren't the best of games, but I give it what it is. It's certainly a fine game. It's got an interesting world, nice visuals, the jumping is fluid and shit. I really enjoy it. But I enjoy it when I'm playing the fucking main storyline, not when I'm doing meandering fucking fetch quests. The open world in Mirror's Edge Catalyst, ladies and gentlemen, is literally a fucking main menu, okay? There are 13 story missions, I'm pretty sure, maybe give or take a little more. You want to know what the open world is? It's literally go to this point to start the mission, and the mission loads up into an instance place, not really using the open world sometimes, totally separate areas, and it plays like the regular original Mirror's Edge. The only reason that open world exists is to give you a fucking main menu or a loading screen in between it for some fuck all reason. There are other side quests, sure. Take this point and deliver it to the other point, or do these meandering player-generated time trials and shit. That's not exactly fun, and it's not exactly rewarding either. You get fucking nothing for doing it, besides from some experience points so you can unlock shit in a skill tree, which again is one thing I want to focus on too. Instead of actually utilizing player skill, open world games pad the fuck out of game length. This shit drives me insane too. A game is like 6 hours long, right? For example, if an open world game is 6 hours long, if you just add up all the time you do the main quest stuff. If you have a capture card, record an entire playthrough of an open world game, edit out the parts where you're fucking doing boring fetch quests, side quests to grind for experience points, and driving in between your objective, it's probably a fucking third of what you overall played. You want to know why that happens? Is because instead of making nice, beautiful linear worlds that probably would take less time, for some fucking reason it seems forced that you need to make an open world environment that really isn't all that detailed in the first place, just to appeal to, I guess, more. I don't know. Appeal to who? I don't really understand it, because nobody fucking enjoys a fetch quest simulator in their goddamn video games. You ever play an open world game and you really get engrossed by the story, and like in between it, your character is 5 levels under level to do the next mission, and you got to do the side content, but the side content isn't even that impressive. You're only doing it to get the experience points out of it and unlock like 3 skills that you need and match up your level to the enemy level for the next level. It becomes a fucking spreadsheet in that way. You're min-maxing your fucking character out instead of enjoying an engrossing storyline that the game has crafted itself entirely for you. And that's my biggest qualm with any open world title coming out nowadays. It's gotten to the point that most of my backlog is this open world fluff single player nonsense, and I've decided to say fuck it. I'm just gonna watch let's plays or cutscenes on YouTube in order to satiate my fix for the storyline, because when you introduce elements to a game that really doesn't need it in the first place, it becomes an unenjoyable mess to really sit through. There's no reason for a story-based game to really go through this entire crafting, life sim, open world fluff nonsense that they put through. There are open worlds out there that are very interesting to go through. For example, some of the open worlds that I really enjoy are those of Deus Ex, because they're not huge open worlds, but they're very detailed open worlds with actual storyline and side content that's meaningful peppered within it. Unlike the open worlds of, say, Mirror's Edge Catalyst or any major Ubisoft game, where a lot of it is just basically made for you to go to radio towers, poke things off a checklist, or essentially the side quest ends up becoming the same thing. Go here, scan something, kill whatever target, and go back home. There's nothing meaningful that comes out of this nonsense anyways, and it really just becomes a pad out of game length. I like the days of linear experiences like Wolfenstein 2 that came out. I really enjoyed it because it was a game that I could play through start to end, no problem. Even fucking Call of Duty, a game that I literally play if I have nothing else to do or I'm waiting for something to finish rendering, had a more enjoyable storyline experience, because guess what? It didn't fucking make me do any side quests. It didn't make me do a life sim. It didn't make me open world traverse through the World War II ridden landscapes of the world. No, it gave me a simple point A to point B storyline, and you know what? For what it was worth, it was enjoyable. I enjoyed it. But there are games out there with absolutely amazing storylines, but guess what? They end up having this open world nonsense that drives me fucking through the wall, and you just can't end up playing it. And it also takes away from the grandiose, epic nature of a storyline anyways. Who the fuck here has played Skyrim and ever was once fearful of the world ending? You guys remember that? Oh, the world's ending. You're the goddamn Dragonborn. Yeah, I don't really feel like the world's ending if I put 400 hours into the game doing all the side bullshit and it'll save the main quest for last. The world wasn't ending, motherfucker. Nobody cared. The NPCs didn't even give a shit. They might have referenced it offhand, but they don't care. The entire aspect of your epic, grandiose storyline fails. There are games like Metroidvania that I can tolerate because those are what you call sandbox games. You know, games like MGS5, you have the option to go open world, but most of it's segmented in a certain location. That I can tolerate. Going from fucking 16 square miles to the other square mile is not something that is enjoyable by anybody, ladies and gentlemen. I almost get daunted nowadays opening up a game's map these days and looking at the size of an open world and saying how much of that is actually meaningful. Guess what? 95% of the open world map is fucking pointless. Unless you want to go sit around collecting 300 collectibles for like 80 million hours and more, hey, congratulations, you've got your game. But for the grand majority of gamers out there who get engrossed in a storyline or play a game for actual meaningful content, don't really enjoy running collectathons, okay? Nobody's fucking playing Finding Waldo in their goddamn games meaningfully, okay? Sometimes we do it because we might enjoy the gameplay, but that's not a given for every situation, ladies and gentlemen. Dear game developers, please stop fluffing out the goddamn game, all right? Give us a fucking open world. The only time a big open world makes sense is if you're playing a racing game, okay? Because you're driving a car at 3 million miles per hour, all right? I'm being very hyperbolic with my numbers today. I know it's a problem. It's very late at night. But ladies and gentlemen, developers, if you're making a game, please stop with the open world crap. It's getting really fucking invasive, and it's making your single player experiences turn out like utter shit. I play more multiplayer games now because, frankly, I'm sick and tired of running a life simulator in all of my fucking games. And God forbid dealing with any crafting simulators, collecting little mini shit for 8 hours straight and then crafting meaningful gear. This is not a fucking MMO. This is a single player experience. Let's treat it like one, ladies and gentlemen. I know I sound really triggered. It's because I am. I'm literally destroying a backlog of games right now because I just can't deal with it. I don't got enough time. All right, I'm going to put my time towards meaningful stuff. Retro games where this kind of shit really didn't fucking happen in the first place. And yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. Let me know what you think about this collectathon life sim bullshit open world crap we have to deal with nowadays. I am out.